Hi, and welcome to another episode of Master Talk. Today we have with us ace mixologist and among the best flair bartenders in the country, Ami Shroff. We are so excited to have her at Master Mentors. She has won so many accolades, so many awards. It's all going to be there in the caption for you to read. She's been covered by so many magazines and publications and also featured in Netflix in a documentary there, and creating some amazing cocktails for all you people who want to be in the industry or even those who have a home bar to know the tips, tricks, and how to make those amazing cocktails. So hi Ami, and glad to have you on the show.
Yeah, glad
But
to be here. Thank you.
the first thing that I want to know, that this is such a cool job. This is such a cool thing to do. I mean, I wish I would be doing this. How come flair bartending? How come bartending? How come mixology? How did you get into this?
Just like how you said, it's a fun job. It seems like that's what I think pulled me towards the profession, the curiosity of what's happening in there. And I was an 18-year-old. Flair is what fascinated me. I saw a flair bartender flipping some bottles, and I'd seen this many years ago as a child in a movie, Cocktails, where Tom Cruise flipped some bottles. That's what kind of sparked it, I suppose. And there were 3 simple steps I knew. So when I meet a flair bartender, I'm like, hey, check this out. This is what I can do. And just like that, we got a little gig, me and a friend, assisting him behind the bar, learning on the job, learning before work, after work. Then the internet came about. So this was back in 2003, and the bar industry was really small or very different from today as well. And it just started off randomly, and it became a profession at some point. But it started off more like a fun thing to do or a hobby, and I was just curious about it, and I kept doing it. That's it. That's how it started. Yeah.
Awesome. So even we keep propagating the same fact that you should follow your passion. And most of the mentors, most of the courses that are there on our platform, Master Mentors, are about alternate careers, where people have followed their passion.
Sure.
And stuff that what you are going to be teaching with us, they don't teach you that in school or in college.
Yeah.
So that's where the value add happens for even our customers and our audience. Now tell me, so I have been a regular at breweries and pubs and all since I've been very young. How did you balance between being out and partying every night and also knowing somewhere that that's also my job, or that's also something which I'm doing for work, and not going completely berserk with it?
I don't know how it happens. It just happens. I suppose right from the start, when I'm behind the bar and I'm working, it's a different zone. It's not like I am sometimes partying with the guests, or there's that energy that you want to kind of give out. Like the DJ also, there's an energy they give to the crowd. Similarly, the bartenders are facing the crowd and they give out an energy, a vibe also. Flair does that sometimes. It gives an interesting visual, just good hospitality and welcoming somebody really warmly can feel very nice. So just to make the guests feel comfortable and to kind of be in the vibe of the scene, to enjoy the music that you're listening to, because you want to enjoy your work, and that's how you can be good at it and get better at it. And I think that's how it's the primary focus of everything goes around that, and it just doesn't end up becoming like a party scene. It's very different when you're on the other side of the bar and when you have responsibilities, and there are certain things you have to overlook as the bartender. But I would say it's a lot of fun, and it's on my days off, I rarely go partying then. Sometimes it's more like a house scene or more of a quieter thing, because if I'm in that atmosphere all the time, then it's something else that you want on your day off. So that's how I party, in a very shanti way on my days off. Yeah.
Awesome. I'm sure that's a break for you.
Yeah, in a way.
Super cool. So when my mom cooks for me, or let's say some friend cooks for me or something, and they're like, I have made so much of this food, I can't eat it. So is that the same with you, where I've made so many of the drinks, look, I can't drink this, maybe I'll have a beer or something, or I'll have something else. Is that a fact with you?
That is kind of true. Maybe it does have an influence. I think if you're making the same thing, I rarely take too much time to make myself a cocktail. But of course, if there are guests coming home, or there's a house party scene or something planned, I'll make a batch of something for them. But when it's usually my choice of a drink, I mean, most often it's a cappuccino or a coffee, and otherwise sometimes a brewed beer, because I really enjoy a nice IPA or a nice brewed beer as well. And cocktails I would love to go for if it's some other bartenders making it, and if I trust, like, okay, they're gonna do it nice. I like it less sweet, I like it well balanced, so I'll just tell them what my preference is, or they'll know what to suggest me, maybe what's the speciality of the place, and I would try a cocktail also if it's made well and good alcohol. Yeah.
Yes, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah.
So that's the fun thing I figured, that making this the entire day or the entire night rather, it must be somewhere playing subconsciously. Now something which struck me when I first saw your first video, and even today when I met you for the first time when you came in here, how difficult or how easy or how different is it being a girl, first of all, being in this industry, and of course that you started back in 2003, you're saying, very early in your life as well. So is it difficult? Is it easy? Have there been, let's say a hindrance or somewhere a hesitation in your family that, this maybe not this career or something, or this has been absolutely cool? So I want to know your...
In a way, like there was some hesitation, but they've been so cool with it also at the same time. I think initially, back in 2003, so there were no, I didn't know of other women doing this as a profession, and the profession also was a very, it was very niche, or it was a smaller industry. So initially my parents were not like, well, a little skeptical about it, or they didn't even know I was bartending. I kind of just started doing it with a friend, and at some point they got to know. And but the moment my father found out, like first from that concern for my safety, it switched to like, okay, at least, I mean, she's doing it anyways. She seems to be good at it. She seems to be enjoying it. At least let her tell us about where she's doing, what she's doing, and us rather support it, sort of a thing. So I never realized, I think my parents were always very liberal and very cool. And maybe initially I was quite a rebel, and I was like, oh, this, that, but they were super supportive in their own way, in their own subtle way, in everything that the choices in my life and stuff. So I have received a lot of support from them. Whereas when it comes to like, the whole entire, like, does gender play a role when it comes to, say, the profession of bartending or many other professions? And I think it does, because it plays a role in general, like how we live, how free we feel, how many rules apply to each of us. From the time we are born to the way we are brought up, to every little thing, even in our adult lives. So I think that's when it interferes. So depending on which kind of environment you live in, you grow up in, your friends, your school, your circles, your family, or strangers that you meet and encounter, the media that we sort of get influenced by, what does it teach us about how different our genders are, and do the rules apply differently? And as long as that exists, I think there will be hindrances or obstacles to kind of overcome, and notions to break, and stereotypes to break, and those exist. It's just very subtle. It's not like in your face, like, oh, you're a woman, that's why I will treat you this way. It's like you don't know it when the gender biases come in and how they come in. So it is very subtle, but yeah, as you break them, they like sort of become less, and they fade away more and more, but they still are there, but you have to keep breaking them, I suppose. Yeah.
It's so great to know about that, because I'm sure so many women and so many girls out there want to be bartenders, but they're like, can I or should I? But seeing people like you, I'm sure so many of them will now make an attempt, and even in their families, people will be like, okay, please go ahead and try it out. And so that's a great step ahead. But now that we're mentioning about the industry and all that, how did you get your first gig, or how did you progress in your gigs? Like, for people who are learning from you, how could they go about getting into the industry and being successful as a bartender?
Right. I think one of the simplest approaches is just going for a bartender course, or going to a school which teaches you the bartending techniques and various different aspects that you need to know, like get introduced into the profession, and thereafter find a bar or a place where, or even a bartender that you could work with or work under, where you can learn on the job. So I sort of didn't do a course, but the awesome bartenders who were afterwards teaching in schools, like, taught me before work, after work, and casually. I knew like these 2-3 steps of flair. So there was already like an interest in the back of my head. I didn't know anything about mixology or about cocktails or alcohol, but that's what I kind of learned as I went about it. And initially, the first few months or first year or so, I was more like assisting the bartenders and learning with them, and a lot through the internet. And today as well, I'm still learning so much through the internet. New ideas come out, something I haven't tried before, or a different way of presenting a cocktail, anything at all, new flair moves. So the internet taught me a lot, I think, right from that time itself. And yeah, just experimenting, practicing, trying things of your own, making mistakes sometimes which turn out to be like new discoveries in their self. So I think that's what happens with experience. you just learn things that you don't through books or through a teacher also, and just hands-on, figuring things out, trying things out. Yeah, that's how it kind of started for me. Yeah.
Awesome. So, you know, the way I'm looking at it, I see so many new bars opening, so many new clubs, so many corporate events, so many weddings where they're doing so many different things.
Right.
So the industry, let's say your industry is exploding, and you know, you being a celebrity bartender, like what we would like to address you as, I think it's quite a lucrative career option now for a lot of kids to get into.
Majorly, not just like in bartending per se, but people are becoming sommeliers in wines or focusing on one particular spirit and going into the depths of it, or even becoming master brewers or distillers themselves. So there are so many aspects that one can kind of stream into through bartending, or getting this experience and utilizing it in some other way, going into spaces of marketing or branding for a particular syrup or a beverage company. So it doesn't have to be connected to alcohol also, but the beverage industry is just expanding and getting broader and broader. Flair, when I started, was very new, and today it's not as popular maybe as it was then, but there's always sometimes something new that pops up, and that becomes the thing. There was a phase of molecular mixology being the next big thing, and people getting all sorts of effects and different visuals coming from their drink. I think today sustainable bartending is the new thing, and trying to make bartending more sustainable. I don't think it's become as popular as it should, but I see like it's the direction that the industry is heading towards. And also it saves money for the bar. It makes the bartender more aware and more conscious of what they're utilizing and how it's utilized. Keep making sure the ingredients stay fresh, the hygiene of the bar, all these aspects also kind of get covered. So yes, that's something I think I'm also personally very fascinated with, how to make the bar more sustainable, maybe choose our products wisely, and yeah, what small differences we can do, and small steps. It's an imperfect journey of learning, I would say, so far for me. Yeah.
How cool is that? Sustainable bartending also now. So on that note, let's have a sip of what you made. Cheers.
The ice might have diluted a
Yes.
bit, but if at all,
So this,
still tastes good. I think.
it's amazing.
Yeah.
So this
Oh,
delicious
lovely.
cocktail is made by Ami. Tell us a little bit about how this is made, the ingredients, and if you can relate it a bit to the sustainability you were talking about and the ingredients you were speaking about.
Right. So, well, in the other drink, I'd use the zest of the orange. So, for example, just keeping that as an example, the zest of so many citrus fruits can be utilized, or even skins of, say, pineapple. Yeah, there's a fermented beverage called tepache, which is just made from the skin of the pineapple, mixed with some jaggery and some spices, and fermented over 2 days, and you have this fizzy, less sweet fermented beverage, which is supposed to be like a probiotic as well. Just that being an example of how we can utilize every ingredient that we would otherwise just throw away in some way or the other. The stems of your mint have so much flavor, so very often when we're using it at the bar, we're using the leaves and the sprigs, the top part of the mint, but the stem doesn't get utilized. And you can make a nice tea or a syrup with that stem. So there are many ways that you can find purpose of every single ingredient that you have. While here, we haven't, it's not a very a sustainable, like as in we haven't really utilized, you've used flowers and we've given it 2 brews maybe, and just flowers is not something that's a very common ingredient that's played with, but it's lovely. It gives lovely colors depending on which flowers you use, and the flavors are very delicate, very subtle. But they work fantastically for drinks such as like the gin and tonic or a vodka tonic. Yeah, and the concept over here with this cocktail was finding ingredients that you can find in your kitchen, such as tea or a choice of sweetener, jaggery or honey, maybe a pineapple juice, but whichever fruit juice that you have, or just squeezing some fresh orange or some fresh juice in there, and making this nice fruity iced tea mix with a spirit of your choice. I've gone with rum, but people can experiment with what they have. So just utilizing what we have in our kitchens, in our fridges, before even going out there and buying something separately, is in a way a sustainable way of like approaching things to, yeah, use what you have. The glassware as well, be creative. This could have been served in a small chai cup as well, and it looked really cute, or a kullad. So experiment, and you can find ways to, make it more fun and use your own creativity and change the presentation or change the cocktail completely. And yeah, an element of sustainability can come in there as well. Somehow you can incorporate it. Yeah.
Excellent. Before we get into what you're going to be teaching at Master Mentors, one last question. What about people who are into fitness and health?
Right.
Are there some suggestions that what should they mix, as in mixers, or what they could do to, you know, kind of have the similar kind of taste that you're offering, but with lesser calories, or maybe from a health perspective? So do you have any input on that?
So I would suppose like keeping their drinks less sweet, or not using too much of sweeteners. Even the proportion of sweetener, you can have it as 5 ml lesser than the required amount. And just going in those aspects, using ingredients like these, making your own brews and floral mix, or a black tea. There's no sort of aerated beverage that's going in there which contains a lot of sugar, more than we can even taste it. So using these kind of ingredients, using fresh ingredients such as a slice of orange, the zest of it, rosemary, yeah, you know, just I think avoiding sugar. Alcohol in itself, I don't know, it's tricky. If you, beyond a certain point, it is not helpful for the body in a way. It's, but they say like maybe if it's had in its limits and in its capacity, like your body is not getting too, it's not too harmful, or it's not getting a feeling like you're abusing the body. So yeah, drinking responsibility, not too much of it, enjoying the drink that you're drinking, choosing the quality of alcohol as well as the quality of ingredients that you're mixing in, and yeah, just that's I think the way to balance it to in a healthy sort of a way. Yeah. Otherwise, even just using ingredients which we otherwise might use for medical purposes. So, for example, sometimes you have a bad throat and you want a nice ginger honey mix, and then maybe you can. It's optional. You can add a shot of alcohol to that also. You could sip on it hot as well instead of cold. So all these ways are certain things you can incorporate into making a nice healthy beverage also. Along with it, yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, balance is everything. And when I heard jaggery, I was like, yeah, great alternate to sugar as well.
Absolutely.
So
not
that's how
less processed at
less
least.
processed.
Yeah. Honey also, depending on which honey, it's healthier than your processed sugars. Yeah. It's still got sweet, a lot of sweet, like a lot of sugar content, or even the fruit sugars have a lot of fructose. But I think it's just healthier sugars. That's the difference. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. So much to learn. So on that note, what are you exactly going to be teaching us in your masterclass with Master Mentors? We're all excited to know, and I myself want to go through the entire class and learn everything, because I have a home bar and I'm going to use every technique.
Super. So mainly I want people to just like not like lose the inhibitions to experiment, to try something in their own home bar, and 1 or 2 simple cocktails. We're going to start with these of what they can try to mix in their own home bar. But again, the recipe doesn't have to be this way. So you can find, I'll give them examples on how they can substitute one thing with another, like change your sweetener and you change an entire drink. Your sours could be more than just lemon juice, or other ingredients such as, you have so many different fruits like star fruit, there is amla, there is hibiscus. It gives a lovely red. It's got some health benefits to it, and it gives a very nice tangy flavor to kokum. So there are these other options of sours. So just substituting one ingredient with another, you can have a whole new drink. What kind of glassware and how they should pick which glassware, what are the methods of mixing, such as this was just made in the glass itself straight up and this was shaken. So why do we select which method of mixing? And if they don't have a certain tool in their house, how can they still mix a cocktail with something else that they can find? So introducing them into the art of mixology, experimenting with ingredients and things they can find in their homes, and just sort of a small basic introduction workshop to bartending. They can just take it up as a career option, but this is more of like just an introduction for your home bar. And to spark an interest if you want to take it up as a profession at some point. Awesome. Yeah.
So there was a little bit of a sneak peek that I saw, that you were giving a little bit of a trick of, you know, how to juggle and how to do a little bit of those things, which I find so cool, and I think looks amazing. So I'm looking forward to that too. So we will be learning not just about how to make amazing cocktails, not just how good they taste, but also how good they look, because of all the amazing super tricks that you're giving us.
And it's like the garnish of your cocktail, its presentation matters in some way. Flair to me is the garnish of my bartending in a sense, you know, it's the way I present my mixology. Yeah.
Awesome.
So.
So we have the master chef of bartending with us, and looking forward to your show. And thank you so much for the masterclass with us, and hope to see you soon. All right. Thank you.
Cheers.